afternoon to everybody. We want to really thank Dr. Yitzhak Farnberg for sponsoring and being Makdish, dedicating the Dvar Torah for this week, Parshat Vayelech. It's the first Parasha, Parshat Shabbat Shuvah, first Shabbat of the year. And he's actually dedicating it Le'ilu Nishmat Rabbi Judah Harris, Rav Yaakov Yehuda ben Aaron Chaim, very gentle, wonderful person who was here for a very short time before he passed on, but he'd come from America and was part of our Kahila, as I say, for a relatively short time. So Yeh Zichro Baruch. We all know that the Parsha is called Parshat Vayelech. It starts off, it's named after the first pasuk, that Vayelech Moshe, that Moshe went. And the Torah doesn't tell us where he went to. It just tells us he went, and then he instructed Yoshua, and he told the people that today is basically his last day. He's 120 years today. He can't come in, he can't go out. Rashi explains he can't go out and lead the people to war, etc. But as I said, when the Torah speaks about him going, it doesn't tell us where he went to. I'd like to give two explanations. One a more like mystical explanation, and one more pshat, but I think that they connected. The mystical explanation is that it doesn't actually tell us where he was going to, because he wasn't going anywhere specific. It's when we say that Moshe was going, we're saying that he, in his essence, was a person who was always going. He was always going from one level to the next level. In the prophets, when they want to contrast a human being, a tzaddik, with an angel, it refers to the angels as creatures who are standing. They are like Richard. They're in a fixed place. They're like robots. They go on a certain. They've got a certain mission, and they because they've got no Yetzer Hara, they can't go up and down. They're very fixed into their position, and they can't really leave that madrega, leave that level. But when it comes to a human being's dynamic. He can go up, he can go down, he can return. And so when we say that Moshe is Vayelech Moshe, we're actually describing the type of person he is. He's a person who was never static. He always went from one level to the greater level. It actually reminds me by association. It's not the same, but it reminds me in association that on Rav Kook's on the tombstone, it says that he came on Aliyah from Lithuania to Yaffo. Then from Yaffo he went on Aliyah. And he went up to Shalim, and then afterwards from Shalim he went up to heaven. That's exactly what we're trying to say. It doesn't use the word death. He's always, the tzaddikim are always going from one level to the other, and so it doesn't have to tell us where he's going. It's just telling us that that's exactly how it is. There's, in parenthesis, I'd like to say that there's a mistaken notion. People get mixed up with two sayings. It says there is no rest for the righteous, and people think that they think that pasuk is that it means that there's no rest also, or that statement in the Gemara is referring to the wicked. That's not correct. What the pasuk does is there's no peace for the wicked, but there's no rest for the righteous, because the righteous are always going up. Even in Gan Eden, they are comprehending and they are developing in their intellectual and understanding and experiences of proximity to Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah, and therefore they're always going up. There is no rest from level to level, but they have a peace, they have an inner peace, they have harmony, and not so the Rashaim. So that's, I think, one of the more mystical explanation Legabe Moshe. But I'd like to say that there's in the Pshat, if you look at all the psukim from the time that Moshe Rabbeinu was just before he was born, it uses the word Vayelech. He comes from a stock. He comes from a mishpocha which is always Vayelech. The Torah says in Parshat Shmot, when it speaks about his parents. It says that Vayelech ish mi beit Levi vayikach et bat Levi, and there was this man who went, who was from the household, from the dynasty of, or the tribe of Levi, and he took a daughter of the head of the tribe of Levi. Vayelech. He comes from, as I say, a background of Vayelech. Remember, the background is that after Paro decreed that there's all the males have to be thrown into the Nile, so Amram, the father of Moshe, said, well, what are we bringing children into the world for? That they should be executed by Paro. So he divorced his wife. Miriam said to him that he's worse than Paro, because this way he by not remaining married, he's not going to have neither men, neither males or females. So then he went back by Vayelech. He went back, and what he did was he retook his wife, and after he retook her, that's when Moshe Rabbeinu was born. So that's first of all the background, that he comes from a background of Vayelech. And the second time now, so that's a background. Now, when he starts his mission, Hashem says to him, that after he's convinced him that he has to go and save the people of Mitzrayim, so Hashem says to him that, now get up, I've convinced you now that you have to go and save the people, so I'm asking you now to go. And that's what he does. And in Pasuk Yudalet, Perek Dalet, Pasuk Yudalet, it says as follows: Vayelech Moshe vayashov el yeter chotno. He goes back to his father, and he says, you know what, I have to go. And I have to see what is the position, what is the welfare of my brethren in Mitzrayim. And Moshe and Yitro says to him, fine, you can go, lech leshalom, go in peace. And that's when he went. Right? So the Mefarshim explain, why did he go back? Hashem told him to go now back to Mitzrayim. Why does he stop over and go to his father-in-law? What's he going back to his father-in-law for? I mean, he's about to save the entire Jewish people. The Gemara and the Midrashim explain that, you know, what he did was he went to perform the precept of Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz means to be a mensch, the way of the world. Moshe Rabbeinu felt that it's not correct that before he goes to save all the Jewish people, but he has to take leave, so to speak, of his father-in-law, who gave him a home and gave him his wife. That's menschlichkeit. And the way that Moshe Rabbeinu started off his, let's call it his career, it's really his mission, his whole life of saving the Jewish people. It started off with Vayelech. He took a detour to go and to his father-in-law's place to ask permission to take leave of him and say, I'm going now to Egypt to see the welfare of my people and what has to be done about them. And then that's actually how he actually also ended off his career. What he did was that, it says, Vayelech Moshe. Where did he go to? He went to say goodbye to all the members of Am Yisrael. He went from place to place, from tribe to tribe, to say goodbye and wish farewell. That before he's leaving this world, he's now going to say goodbye to all the tribes, all the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu started off with Vayelech. He went to have Derech Eretz and to say goodbye to his father-in-law, and he ended off his life with Derech Eretz. He went now and he said goodbye to Am Yisrael. That was the sword. That is the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. Shabbat Shalom lekulam and Shabbat Shuvah. Have a great Shabbat Shuvah to everybody.